The call came at 2:11 a.m. Not from him. From the hospital. My niece was small in the bed, too quiet for a child who used to run at me like I was oxygen. She held my hand with a strength that didn't belong to her age. Her eyes were older than mine. "Auntie," she whispered, breath shallow, "please stop sending him money. Just watch where he goes. You'll understand." I nodded because that's what adults do when children tell the truth they can't explain. I didn't cry, not then. I felt something colder slide into place. 3 years earlier, I'd buried my sister. And then I'd funded a promise. Every year, like clockwork, I wired $27,000 to her. Husband, school, clothes, stability. I told myself the transfers were love with a routing number. I told myself he was grieving. I told myself a lot of things that kept me from looking too closely. He called me family. He sent photos. Smiles cropped tight around the edges. Receipts that felt rehearsed. I never visited unannounced. I respected his space. I respected my own denial. The first time doubt knocked, I didn't answer. The second time, I deadbolted. The third time was a child's hand in mine, shaking. So I watched. I stopped the next wire. No announcement, no drama. I let the silence do the work. I hired a firm that specialized in quiet. No trench coats, no dramatics. Just time-stamped truth. The pattern emerged quickly. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Cash withdrawals minutes after my transfers used to land. A gym that wasn't a gym. A business trip that wasn't a business. A second phone. A woman whose laugh he paid for. A condo he didn't live in. Tuition unpaid. Dentist bills ignored. My niece's school had been floating her on goodwill and prayer. I didn't confront him. I archived him. I pulled bank statements like teeth. I mapped the flow. Money I sent for a child had been laundered into indulgence. I recorded conversations where he practiced gratitude like a script. I obtained custody filings he'd never mentioned. I read emails where he complained about the leash I kept him on. The leash. I smiled at that. Planning his grief with a spine. I gave myself 90 days. I opened a trust in my sister's name. I transferred ownership of the education fund I'd foolishly left under his control. I met with a family lawyer who didn't flinch. We prepared petitions. We prepared contingencies. We prepared for him to lie. I set a meeting at a cafe he liked. Neutral ground, public, safe for him, dangerous for the truth. "You're outdated," he said when I slid the folder across the table. "You don't understand how things work now. We're done here." "Understood," I said quietly. That was the moment the retirement trust activated its voting rights. By Monday morning, the board convened an emergency meeting. Who just fired the person who owned 76% of the narrative he'd been selling? Not me. Paperwork did that. Judges like paper. Schools do, too. He showed up to court with a face he'd practiced. The judge didn't look at his face. She looked at the ledger, at the missed payments, at the condo, at the dates that overlapped my sister's death anniversary, at the text where he called my niece overly sensitive. When custody was awarded to me pending final review, he made a sound I will never forget. Not rage, not grief. Emptiness discovering it had an echo. I didn't gloat. I packed. The confrontation came later in the hallway. He tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. He tried to speak. I raised a finger. "You spent her future," I said. "I reclaimed it." He started to cry then. I watched without satisfaction. Satisfaction is loud. This was quiet. This was alignment. At home, my niece slept for 12 hours straight. The kind of sleep that belongs to safety. I sat on the floor outside her door and let the last 3 years pass through me like weather. People asked if I felt guilty. No. People asked if I'd ruined him. No. I removed him. The transfers stopped. The trust grew. Therapy appointments replaced excuses. Report cards replaced receipts. My sister's photo moved from a shelf to a wall. Sometimes I replay that cafe moment in my head. The hiss, the dismissal, the certainty he mistook for power. Understood. He thought it meant surrender. It meant execution. I didn't raise my voice. I raised a child. And when I think of my sister now, I don't think of what I lost. I think of what I preserved. Justice doesn't always arrive with sirens. Sometimes it arrives with spreadsheets, signatures, and a hand held through the night. I sleep fine. So does my niece. That's the payoff.